y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mary, and today's video is going to be my 2021 series catch-up. So I did a video like this last year, and essentially the premise of this video is that I'm going to be going through all of the book series that I either started, continued in, or completed in 2021, as well as book series that I just sort of have open that I would like to work towards completing in 2022. I've readjusted the camera and the way it's set up, so hopefully this is a little bit better. But without further ado, I'm just going to start with all of the book series that I completed in 2021. So the first thing that I completed in 2021 was that I finished the To All the Boys I've Loved Before series by Jenny Han. I read the first two of these, I believe, in December of 2020, and I read the third one in January of 2021. I think it was like the first thing that I read in 2021. One of the first things that I read. And I really enjoyed this series. It's very cute, just a YA contemporary series. It has a Netflix adaptation for every single movie now. And I actually have a video comparing the book to the movie, so I will link that for you somewhere in case you are curious. Then in February, I read all three of the Lord of the Rings books. Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and Return of the King. But I listened to these over one weekend. I vlogged my experience of that, so I will go ahead and link that vlog somewhere in case you're curious about how I felt about all of these books. The next series that I completed in 2021 and also started in 2021 is a series that I buddy read with my friend Kelly at the channel The Velvet Library, or it might just be Velvet Library. I always get that confused. Her channel will be linked down below. But we read the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy together this year by Laini Taylor, which is a YA fantasy series. It's Daughter of Smoke and Bone, Dreams of Gods and Monsters, something Blood and Starlight maybe. I don't remember all of their names. I gave all of them 4 stars. I thought they were all very enjoyable reads. The next trilogy that I started and finished in 2021 is In Ember and the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. Did I call this a trilogy? I think this is a 4-book series. The last book came out in December of 2020. So in 2021, I read all 4 of these books, but it's another YA fantasy series that I really enjoyed this year. I also read the Friend Zone series by Abby Jimenez this year, and I wound up giving 2 of the books. The first book in the series, I gave 2 stars. The third book in the series, I gave 1 star because I absolutely hated it, but I really enjoyed the second book. I gave it 4 stars, and this is a series of standalone contemporary romances, so all of the characters are in some way related to characters in the other books. I don't think you have to read all of them, and I honestly don't recommend the series. I did not like it at all. I didn't like the tropes that it portrayed, and I also just wasn't into the characters. And then the last series is another series of standalone romances, beginning with the Kiss Quotient and ending with the Heart Principle. Both of these two I ended up reading this year, and I gave 5 stars to both of them. This was one of my 5-star predictions for 2021, and I did end up loving it. The Bride Test was one of my favorite books of 2020, and prior to reading the first and the third, that was the only one in the series that I had read, but I did read both of these in 2021, and I did really enjoy both of those. Okay, now I'm going to move on to some completed series. That means all of the books are already out that I have started, either prior to 2021, but plan on continuing, hopefully in this year, if not just generally, and book series that I started in 2021, but that are fully released, but I have not read all of the books. I hope that makes sense. It feels kind of confusing to say it that way, but the oldest series on my shelves that I have to finish is the Robert Langdon series by Dan Brown, which is an adult thriller series starting with Angels and Demons. So I have read Angels and Demons of the Da Vinci Code years and years ago, and I found out that this series extended beyond that semi-recently. So the books that I still have to read for that series are 3 through 5. I need to read The Lost Symbol, Inferno, and Origin. The next series I would like to continue on is one that I actually did continue on in 2021, but I started in 2020, and that is 2001: A Space Odyssey by Arthur C. Clarke. This is a 4-book series. I read the first 2 now. I read 2010 Odyssey 2 this year, last year, and honestly, I really didn't like it. I thought it was fine. It was just so disappointing to me. So I'm hoping that I like the other ones, but also I'm kind of debating DNFing the series. I really do think that if I had just read this as a standalone, I would appreciate it just as a standalone. I don't think it needed the sequels. So you'll have to let me know if you've read any of the sequels to 2001: Space Odyssey, if you think it's worth me continuing to read it. The next series that I started in 2020 and have not yet continued in is Gwendy's Button Box. I think the series is called The Button Box. This is a novella, but I do believe there's 2 full-length novels in the same series following the same main character. I liked this. I thought it was fine. I read this for Summerween in 2020, and I would like to eventually continue on in the series, but I don't know if it's a priority for me. The next series that I started in 2021 and continued in 2021 is the Bone Witch trilogy. There's only one of these books left, and I really need to finish it. I did read both of these on Kindle, And I didn't really get that invested in the first one. I gave it 3 stars. And then the second one I liked more than the first one, but not enough to like extend past 3 stars. But I think what happened is I listened to the audiobook of the first one, and the second one I actually physically read. This is another YA fantasy series. It's about necromancy, and that's like the magic system in here. And our main character is a bone witch, which means that she's a necromancer. Other witches have other like powers. There's also dragons in this story. So I would like to finish it. I'm very intrigued by it. It's also a morally gray main character who's kind of an unreliable narrator, which I typically like. So yes, I am hoping on finishing that series at some point. The next series that I started in 2021 was The Hainish Cycle by Ursula K. Le Guin. And this is it's like a series of standalones, sort of, but it's sci-fi. It's classic sci-fi. I believe these are all from the 60s. This is The Left Hand of Darkness, which is actually the 4th one in this series, if you will. I believe it's 7 or 9 books. I can't remember how many exactly it is. But each of them follows a different planet and different like planetary system with different customs and cultures in the same galaxy/universe. The next series that I'm in the middle of right now is Percy Jackson and the Olympians, which is actually a reread for me. I reread the first 2 books in 2021, and I need to continue in my reread because I never finished that series when I was growing up, and I've wanted to. That is another one that I'm going to try to prioritize this year, especially because I think my library has all the audiobooks, and they are relatively quick to listen to, and most of them I've read before, so I don't need to like hyper focus on any specific points. The next book series that I have to talk to you about is The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. I thought it was a duology, but I think now it has more than just 2 books in it, so I haven't continued past the first one. The next completed series that I've started in 2021 that I need to continue in is the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, who won the Hugo, I think, for all of these. It's a 3-book series, this trilogy. I read the first one on my Kindle, and it's this world, it's an adult fantasy world, where the magic, quote unquote, is a lot of it has to do with like earth magic and nature, which I thought was really cool. I don't know why I didn't continue in the series after I read the first one. I think I was just really busy. So I do need to pick those back up and continue in that series. Then I also started the Brown Sisters trilogy, which is another just series of standalone romances. I'm not in any hurry to complete this one. I thought the first one was good. Get a Life of Chloe Brown. These are really hyped on BookTube, which is why I was almost disappointed that I didn't like absolutely fall head over heels for the first one, because I thought it was good. Like, I liked it. I enjoyed my time reading it. There was nothing really wrong with it. It just wasn't like a standout romance for me. So I'm just gonna plod through those at some point. I also started Descender by, I can't remember the author's name right now, or the illustrator, because this one is a comic book series that I do want to continue in at some point. I really liked it. It's sci-fi about like an android in a world where being an android is illegal. I enjoyed the first one, again, like I said, so I would like to continue that at some point. Then I started the Rise of Kyoshi duology. I really enjoyed this, and I do plan on continuing in this, and I'm hoping to finish this off this year just because there's only 1 more book. The next book series I started buddy reading with my friend Amanda at her Pacific Northwest Washington Life, and I actually really didn't like the first book, and that is the Firefly Junction Cozy Mystery series. I just didn't think it came together well, but I do want to try the second book because I feel like the first book was laying groundwork for a lot of things. So that's another one that I want to at least read book 2 this year. And if I don't like it, then I can just quit. The next completed series that I started in 2021 was Arc of a Scythe by Neil Shusterman. Again, I am buddy reading these with Hugo at Scientist Reading World and Amanda at her Pacific Northwest Washington Life. We started this in October. We skipped November because we were all really busy. And then we were planning on reading the sequel in December, which I don't think any of us did it. So hopefully we'll be reading that together in January. That's my plan. This is just a YA dystopian trilogy that I'm hoping to complete. Hopefully this year, just because it's all already out, so I may as well just get it done. The next book series that I started in 2021 is Dune by Frank Herbert. And I didn't like Dune, I'm not gonna lie to you. But I do want to try Dune Messiah because it's shorter and I'm already familiar with the world, so I don't have to go through all the info dumpy world building stuff and being confused a lot of the time. And then if I do end up liking Dune Messiah, I might go back and reread Dune with Dune Messiah because I feel like I've heard people say that it's like a very good duology. But if I don't like Dune Messiah, I'll probably just DNF it and just quit the series. Also in October, I started the Sookie Stackhouse series, which is Charlaine Harris's like paranormal romance series. It's also the show True Blood. So I read the first one of these. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. There's 13 in the series. They're fun, quick reads, so hopefully I will be able to read some of them. I own the first one plus the next 6, so I'm hoping that I will get to them at some point, or have an excuse to read them at some point, because like I said, I do enjoy them and I would like to watch the show at some point, although I've heard that it's not. I heard that it's very not similar to the books, is what I'm trying to say. And then the final completed book series that I started in 2021, I started in December, and that is the Gemma Doyle series, which is another YA fantasy series, but this one has a more historical twist, and it is more of a portal fantasy. I read this as part of a vlog, so I will link that vlog for you somewhere in case you want to know my complete thoughts. Now I'm moving on to incomplete series that I either started in 2021 or have been going since before 2021. The first of those is Crescent City. I have read the first book in the Crescent City series. The second book comes out in 2022, so I'm very excited to continue in that, but I am caught up in that series. The next series I have on this list is The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. I thought this was only supposed to be a duology as well, and then the third book came out in December, and I have not yet read that. I've read the first two. I didn't like the second book as much as I liked the first book, and I've heard mixed things about the third. So tentatively, I'm going to read the third book. And then if I don't enjoy it, I probably won't keep reading the fourth book, which I think is called The Righteous. Then in 2021, I also started the Supernatural Investigations series by B.B. Alston, which is Amari and the Night Brothers. I loved Amari and the Night Brothers. Definitely the best middle grade I read in 2021, although I don't read a ton of middle grades, so that doesn't really mean a lot. It was absolutely a fantastic book, and it should have won the Goodreads Choice Award. That's just my opinion, but I'm right. But yes, I love Amari and the Night Brothers, and I'm really excited to read, I think the second one is called Amari and the Great Game, and I think it comes out this year as well. I also started the Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, I think is the author of that, and it's a YA mystery series, and I've read the first two in that series. I've heard really mixed things about the third one because I've heard it's not as heavy on the multimedia aspects, which is one of the things that the series is known for. I also started Heartstopper, the graphic novel series, in 2021, and I read the first three for a vlog, which I will link for you somewhere. The fourth one is out in the UK, but I don't think it was out in the US it definitely wasn't out in the US when I read that book, and I don't know if it's out in the US now, so I would have to double check. But that is a series I would be interested in continuing in, but it's also one that I could kind of take or leave. I know people are obsessed with Heartstopper, and I loved it. I thought it was so cute, but I also, after the second one, when I read the third one, I was like, I don't know if I really need more of this. The next incomplete series that I started in 2021 is You by Caroline Kepnes. And this has 3 books out, but I believe there's a 4th book that's going to come out. This also has a Netflix adaptation. I, full disclosure, watched the first 2 seasons of the adaptation before I read the first book, and it didn't really hinder my enjoyment at all. I gave this book 5 stars. I absolutely loved it, and I'm planning on reading Hidden Bodies in January of this year, so I'm very excited to be continuing my read of You. The next book series I think I missed, it's actually fully complete. I don't know if they're all translated into English yet, but it's The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, and these I think are also kind of like a series of standalones. I'm planning on reading the second one, which is The Angel's Game, in January, but it's historical mystery. Very dark and gothic and atmospheric, but I am planning on continuing in this and reading at least through the 3rd one, and if the 4th one ever gets an English translation, I will read that as well. And if I'm wrong about the translation stuff, let me know. Moving back to series that are incomplete that I started in 2021, Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo is the first in the Alex Stern series, which is I think a new adult/adult fantasy. It's like portal fantasy, ghosts, creepy, weird, magical things happening at Yale University, because that's where the fault lines between our world and other worlds, the supernatural world, is the thinnest. Very interesting series, very interesting premise. I'm really excited for the next book to come out, although I don't think it has a release date yet, which is kind of a bummer. Then I started ACOTAR in 2021. I read the first and second book in this, so ACOTAR and ACOMAF. I will link the vlogs where I read these because I'm pretty sure I read both of them as part of a reading vlog. I put this as an incomplete series because I think it's separate trilogies. This trilogy follows Feyre, the next trilogy follows Nesta, but I know that Sarah J. Maas is continuing to write in this world, so I'm lumping them together for that reason. The next series that I started in 2021 that I do plan on continuing in is The Scholomance by Naomi Novik. This is A Deadly Education. I've talked about this book at length, so I will not continue to talk about it here. This is all my 5-star predictions. It was not 5 stars. That's all you really need to know about that. But I do feel intrigued enough to want to read the second book, which I believe came out last year, and I think it was called The Last Graduate. So I will at least read that book, and then I will know if I want to continue in this series. Unless it's just a duology, and then I'll be pleased with myself for reading 2 books. And the next thing that I'm going to talk about is multiple series that are all combined in one world, and that is Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere. And so for this, I have read Elantris, the short story that goes with Elantris, which I believe is called The Hope of Elantris. I've also read Warbreaker, which is another standalone. Then I've read the Mistborn Era 1 trilogy. I have read the first book in The Way of Kings, and I started it in 2021, so I'm counting that as starting the Stormlight Archive in 2021. But again, I'm looping all of the Cosmere together because I'm currently on track to finish the entire Cosmere, at least what is out, by mid-2023, because I'm reading one book in the Cosmere every single month in publication date order, so that I will eventually be caught up and I don't have to like go back and read things, because I thought about doing it in chronological order because there is like a reading order, right? But I feel like unless all of the books are out, it doesn't really make sense for me to do that. So I'm trying to just get caught up in publication date order, because I feel like if it's been published, it's not going to spoil something else. That's my thought process. I could be wrong, but I just feel like he wouldn't spoil something that's going to come out in 4 years in a book that came out in 2010. You know what I mean? So that's my plan right now, but I did just want to let you know that I finished all of Mistborn Era 1, Warbreaker, and Elantris, and I'm currently, which Elantris has now been announced that it's part of a series, so it's not a standalone anymore, but it was a standalone when it was released, so I'm sort of counting that as one and done. I've started the Stormlight Archives, and then I'm starting in 2022, the first one that I will read, like start, will be The Alloway of Law, which is the Mistborn Era 2 first book. I think it's called Wax and Wane is what that trilogy is called. So that is it. Let me know in the comments down below what series you have started in 2021 that you're excited to continue, or let me know if you are a series reader at all. I mostly read standalones, so I have a ton of series open because I don't really finish series, which is why I probably shouldn't read as many of them as I do, but I prefer a story that is one and done, personally. But do you prefer series? You'll have to let me know. Also, let me know, as always, if you've read any of these books and how you felt about them. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you would like to, because I do post 2 videos every single week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!